Goligoski comes in on the left side, glides to the middle, taps it away. Marchessault banks it ahead to himself. Marchessault comes into the zone. He feeds left and a shot. Score! Riley Smith! Vegas wins in overtime! Marchessault to Smith! Vegas wins it!
Love playing those sound bites on the flagship right here of the Vegas Golden Knights. Kerry Bubolz is kind enough to join us in studio, the president of your Vegas Golden Knights, and he'll be a part of the induction of the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame coming up next week. The Golden Knights get inducted. It's a great honor. Thanks for coming in studio.
JT, that clip never gets old, and thanks for having us. We can't wait to get to September and get this thing going again for Season 3.
I'm getting that from everyone I've talked to and players, that the way it ended with San Jose, that everybody has an edge to them. It's part of the business of sports and hockey when you lose in dramatic fashion, but that fires everybody up, not only from the hockey operations, the business side, and all these fans that we're talking to.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, we felt after even the first year there was still unfinished business, and we thought we had a chance to really do something extremely special. And just the way it ended, there were a few days where it was kind of difficult to even come to the office, honestly. It just, we were just out of whack because we just expected that we would go further. And it was an unfortunate scenario that happened, but, you move on. You get better from it, and we're all ready to go for next season.
Yeah, I'm sensing that. And from a business perspective about the revenue that would have been here for deeper runs in the playoffs, how do you come to grips with all that? Because you've been so successful so far. This has just been a rocket ride out of the gate, but you look at those dates and wonder what it could have been.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, honestly, the revenue is an important piece, and I don't want to discount that. But more for me, it was about our great fan base not having the opportunity to watch us go forward with round 2, round 3, and then ultimately, to be honest, we should still be playing tonight.
Absolutely.
So.
Again, I keep saying that. I know you're kind enough to listen. I think fans who do call in, everybody's saying they're looking at their calendar, remembering last year. There should be Vegas home games tonight.
No doubt, no doubt. There's a group of people I hear from them. It's like we're not sure what to do with ourselves because we just miss it so much. And we've even contemplated having viewing parties where we watch reruns from the season just to get fans back together, that hockey community, and be able to talk about the team and the games.
That would work here. You know that you get a good crowd. Kerry Bubolz in studio. Let's start with you in the early years of your life because I know you're representing the organization going in, but we've been talking about the bios of the other members who are going in. When did your passion come for sports as a young boy growing up?
Believe it or not, actually, there was a Central Hockey League team in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is my hometown. My dad had season tickets through his business, and I would tag along. He would take some customers. To this day, 35, Section 205 row G seats 1 through 4. We were there just about every game, and I really got a love for sports and hockey at that time, even though there was no real hockey in Oklahoma. Per se. I always knew that sports was something I was interested in. Didn't know a lot about the business of sports. Keep in mind, this is the early 1980s, and companies like Nike were my view of what sports was.
Sure.
I wanted to work for Nike, and that's really all I knew. But I had a chance to learn about minor league baseball and fell in love with that opportunity. Got a chance to work in minor league baseball for about 5 years. It was just a great experience for me, and it was really a foundational element. Allowed me to open a lot of doors. Had a chance to work in minor league hockey, minor league basketball, and then the NBA for the last, before I came here for 13 years with the Cavaliers.
Let's talk about academics in high school with your kids and my kids. And when did it click with you that, you're an athlete as a kid and you're going to sporting events, but business is going to be a part of your life and you were going to pursue your dreams going off to college at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, no, I think that experience with my dad going to those games gave me a chance to really fall in love with sports. But again, as you get older, you start to think about what's next and what's your career look like. I knew I wanted to go to college, obviously, and get a business degree. But it wasn't until literally my junior year that the light went on that there's actually a business behind the sports side that on the team side of it. I always thought of the general manager as being the guy that's making the baseball decisions or the hockey decisions, and they are. I didn't realize there was actually a business side of this, and was fortunate that I got the opportunity to get started in minor league baseball and really build my career from there.
Kerry Bubolz is our guest. Was it from the side of dealing with sponsors and businesses that you liked, or was it connecting first with the athletes and everyone in the training room and the clubhouse and trying to bring those sides of the business world together?
I think for me it was the fans and the experience.
Right,
Getting a chance to meet fans as they came into the games, meeting them at the gates, learning about what got them excited, why they made investments with the team. And so that was a lot of fun. And then obviously excelled in the sales and marketing areas. This is a revenue business, and if you don't sell tickets, you don't sell sponsorships, it just doesn't work. And so for me, I learned early on that you have to really prioritize those areas of the business. And I think that's something, as we look at the Golden Knights, I'm really proud of the fact that every single game we have a capacity crowd at T-Mobile Arena. That's a focus. It's a priority. We don't let any seat go unattended to, meaning
Absolutely.
It's a focus. We want to sell every seat, every game. And so there's a real intensity around that, because if we have a strong foundation and we feel that building up, more people are going to be interested in sponsoring. We're going to sell more jerseys. We're going to get bigger media rights deals. And ultimately, we're going to have the best home ice, which is the most important part for our team, and then ultimately giving the revenues necessary. Our owner wants to be a max cap team. That's what we are. And but we've got to generate the revenues that are necessary to do that, and that's what we've been able to do.
So when the franchise is awarded and you start on the ground building the business, tell us some stories from back in the day as you're building out office space and it's the earliest part of your staff and you're putting this business staff together. And how are you going about every day with a vision just to get started and be an inaugural expansion team?
Well, honestly, it was a lot of fun, first and foremost. So we had about a year to get this thing together. The great news is there was already a strong foundation. Bill Foley and some of the folks early on, Murray Craven, Todd Pollock, they had gone through the ticket drive. It had gone very well. And so really our effort, once I got here in October of 2016, is what are those foundational elements that we need to get in place a year from now, or a year later, when we open up with our first official game. And so we really we had some big rocks that were important to the business. Converting those season ticket deposits into actual seats was an important one, because that's our largest local revenue stream. We had to build out our sponsorship group and go out to the market and tell the story about what we were going to be doing with the team and drive those revenues. We had to find partners like Lotus Broadcasting to be our broadcast or our flagship partner. We had to put our TV deal in place. We had to build our training center at City National Arena. And then we had to put the infrastructure in place to start building the game at the youth level. And so those were some of the 10 big rocks that we had identified. And I'm really proud of the fact that the foundation that first year was probably the best thing we did. We really stayed laser focused. Obviously, we had to hire out the entire organization as part of that, but we really kept everybody laser focused on what was most important. And it really served us well as we went into our second year, because now we were able to really build on that and add to our experience, and we grew in every category, and I'm really, really proud of that. There was no honeymoon with our organization, and we really stayed focused on how do we build every aspect of our business, and we were able to do that.
Kerry Bubolz in studio, the president of the Golden Knights. I want to ask more about the sponsorships and the TV deal, because I'm fascinated by both of those. So when you see the official plumbing company of the Golden Knights, or the PT's example of Golden, all the sponsors that we have here through Lotus, it seems like people were excited to meet you guys, but then they still have to build a business partnership. What were those challenges like? And it seems like a lot of companies have been knocking down your door.
Well, I think, first of all, the important part for me was making sure that we were telling a story with the right level of enthusiasm. But ultimately, these are very much business decisions, and you got to make the business case. And they don't spend the type of dollars that are involved with major league sponsorships just based on emotion. There has to be a business case, and we really worked hard on what's the business case, what's that business return, and we were fortunate that there were a lot of companies here locally who took a risk, who took a chance and said, you know what, we want to be a part of this. We like what we hear, and they took that risk. And I hope that they felt the value was there. And then ultimately in our second season, we were able to really explode and build off of that. And it's just been incredible the way this community's received this team, and we're lucky. We're very, very proud of what we've been able to do, but fortunate the way this community's wrapped their arms around the team.
What's your philosophy with television? Because the game, the in-game, is the best experience by far in the NHL. Everybody I talk to says that. It's a massive priority. You knocked it out of the park. But challenges with TV, because I talk to fans every day, and some don't go to games. They just watch TV. A lot of people complain about TV. I have UNLV fans with the Mountain West TV deal. Then you hear Dodger fans, as you know, in this town. I can't catch a Dodger game. It's blacked out. What were your concerns coming in, and what have you liked about the television deal?
Well, I think the first concern was this is not a big market. You know, a lot of people associate Las Vegas with the 2.3 million and all of the 43 million visitors that come here. But as a TV market, We were 40th when I got here. We're 39th now. So it's a relatively small television market. And the TV rights, the revenues associated with TV rights, they're very much tied to the size of your market. So we knew at that point that we weren't going to get the same deal that maybe the Chicago Blackhawks or the Philadelphia Flyers were getting. So we really focused in on not only maximizing our market and making sure that we were putting on a great broadcast, but we really, because of our expansion agreement with the National Hockey League, we had a territory. Although there's not a large population, we've got a large geography. So our fan market goes from all of Nevada, all of Utah, all of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. So we've got a large geography. And so in addition to the revenue that we wanted to generate from our TV partnership, we wanted to make sure we had distribution. And so we're proud that through AT&T Sportsnet, we actually have distribution throughout that entire territory, which allows us to find other ways to monetize the VGK brand and really create this team of the Rockies, which is a vision that Bill Foley had, and we've been able to accomplish that, and then also just build on it with things like VGK Worldwide and taking, Vegas is a global brand, and we've been able to kind of follow along with that and help build the hockey brand throughout the world, and it's just been absolutely amazing how we've been able to do that.
Wrapping it up with Kerry Bubolz in studio, the president of the Vegas Golden Knights. Tell me about your 13 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA. What a run. What a great owner. I've praised the ownership there because I think they grinded through some tough years, and then the LeBron years came through. What did you learn from the basketball side that you've been able to bring to the Vegas Golden Knights?
Well, I think, first and foremost, we had a really unique scenario. The first 7 years that I was there, we were building a business. We had this exciting young player in LeBron James, and then he decided to take his talents to South Beach, and it dramatically changed our business and what we were able to do on the court. But off the court, I'm really proud of the fact that we were able to continue to maintain and build on the business itself. And then he came back in 2014, and we just skyrocketed and went to the next level. And so we got to see a business in very high-demand scenarios and also lower-demand scenarios. And it gave me a real perspective on what's most important from a business perspective and how you actually go to market. And you really have to look at these things on a long term. What we had a year ago was special. It'll always be special, but you can't always build these things for the long term and expect that every single year you're going to have that type of success on the ice or on the court. And so how do you build it for the long term? And it's really served me well in terms of what we tried to do here and laying the foundation these first 2 seasons.
Kerry Bubolz in studio. The relationship with the Raiders I'm very impressed with because I see you at a lot of events with Mark Bedane or Mark Davis and Mr. Foley, whatever it is. Everybody gets along. And I like that about that because being on the radio my whole career nationally, a lot of cities and teams within don't. I'm from New York, and you could see teams fighting, and there's jealousy and all that. You got here first, the Vegas Golden Knights. The Raiders are coming in, building a stadium. I'll tie that into the MLS and what could happen down the road. But what have you liked about the growth of Vegas from UNLV, the Aviators, the Raiders, and everything that's happened in the last 24 months?
Well, and you spoke to it. I think there's a real spirit that I like about the sports community and the other executives around town, in that first and foremost, they're about Vegas and how do we build this city. Ultimately, we have our own franchises that we have to make sure are viable and successful and continue to build and grow. But there really is a spirit that I haven't seen in other markets. When I was in Cleveland, we had the Browns and the Indians, and it just wasn't the same dynamic that we have here. And it's been I've enjoyed that. I've really gotten to know a lot of the other folks that work with the other teams and obviously with UNLV, and it's really been terrific. I also give Mark Bedane and the guys over at the Raiders a lot of credit because early on, they're not here yet, but early on, they were proactive in reaching out saying, hey, we're coming, but we want to work with you. We want to be a partner. Let's partner in the community. What are some ways, what are some shared things that are important to both organizations that we can work together? And that spirit from day one was genuine, and it continues today, and I really enjoy our relationships with those guys.
Kerry Bubolz will represent the Vegas Golden Knights coming up next week. As we get ready, we'll be broadcasting live from the Orleans, the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame. The Vegas Golden Knights go in with this great class. Let's just touch on quickly the MLS and Mr. Foley. I saw some B-roll last night with Chris Matthews on 8 News Now, and I didn't know that Mr. Foley had that much interest and a passion with the sport in general and the MLS. With what's happening and what's happened this this week, what is your position on the MLS and maybe the interest of Mr. Foley and the organization long term?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, Bill is a big fan of Las Vegas. He's a fan of this town, and if he can utilize his capacity financially to help better this community and provide more for this community, he's going to do it. He's also a businessman, and he sees a business opportunity with Major League Sports and with Major League Soccer. And so, in terms of going too deep into the details of what we've been thinking about there, it would be hard to do that. But, he's certainly been on record. This is something we are pursuing. He feels strongly about what would be the best way to do it in terms of venue for this particular product. He also feels strongly that we have relationships, we have business infrastructure, and that this would be very complementary to what we do from a National Hockey League perspective. When you think about the timing of the MLS season, there's a lot of synergies that make sense from a business perspective. And so we think that there's an opportunity. We also know that there's a lot of other factors that kind of fit into that. Least of which is Major League Soccer having to approve a team. And so we're going to go through a process. We're probably not going to talk a lot about it on a public basis going forward, but we're going to go through a process and we'll see where it goes. But our first priority is the Golden Knights, and that's where I can assure everybody that we're going to stay focused, because that is our number one priority.
Let's wrap it up with the foundation. I love seeing you at events that are based around charity in this foundation, which seems to be years ahead of a lot of foundations in a lot of different cities. And I love the fact that this organization gives back. And wherever I am in this community, you're always talking about the foundation. Where does that passion come from?
Well, I think just because we know how important it is for this franchise to be successful, it starts with the community. We have a saying that I talk about all the time, that community is a contact sport, just like hockey. And I really believe that you have to go to it. It doesn't come to you. And the way this community stepped up long before we ever played a game to support this team, to buy the tickets, that was enough incentive, in addition to the fact that it's just the right thing to do. And I really believe that if you do good, you're going to do well. And it served me well with my time in Cleveland. It's certainly been the same here, and we're really fortunate through our 51-49 raffle and all the events that we do that our fans support those events, which allow us to take those dollars and put them right back into the community.
The Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame. This is a great honor. Every year that I go, I was telling Sage about this. I cannot believe the classes that go in. And I was there for Greg Maddux, and it's Dana White. Then it's a NASCAR driver like the Busch brothers. And you see a really buttoned-up five-star event in this town, and it's great that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to get inducted. What does that mean to you and the team?
Well, it's unbelievable, first of all. And before I forget, I want to mention that in addition to myself, George McPhee will be there. Eric Halla, who was obviously one of our founding players coming over from Minnesota back in the expansion draft in 2017, and then Ryan Reeves are going to be joining us for that event. So we're excited to have some of our guys. They really were the ones that deserve this recognition. The first kind of initial reaction was it just didn't feel right. We had just completed our first season. We're halfway through our second year, and we get this request to kind of join such a special place. And when you look at, and you mentioned Greg Maddux and Agassi and all the great athletes and other people from the media that are in the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame, I just didn't feel comfortable that was the right fit. But they were pretty proactive in saying, hey, we think you guys deserve it. This was special, not only what you did, but being the first Major League, NHL hockey team here in Las Vegas. And so we ultimately decided to accept the honor. But it's not something that we take for granted. That it really is impressive that they gave us this unique honor.
Thanks for everything you do for us at Lotus, especially this show, and again, the friendship and what's going on going forward. It's great to be associated with the team because the team's doing so much here in the Valley.
Thank you, JT. We love the relationship as well, and I love listening to you on game nights when I'm heading down to T-Mobile. It gets me pumped up every single night. So thank you.